His lips brushed against mine so softly, like he was testing if I would push him away, or surrender. My breath hitched, my body betrayed me, and I leaned in. His tongue lingered, warm, slow, teasing, until I swore I could taste honey dripping off him, thick and intoxicating. I wanted more. I wanted all of it. He pulled me close, my chest pressing into his hands firm on my waist, guiding me like I belonged to him. My head screamed stop, but my body whispered don't you dare. And right there, in that moment, I knew, he was about to turn me into his honey-licked jar, ready to be emptied until nothing but moans would be left of me. But wait, before I take you too deep into how this madness unfolded, I need you to do me a favor. If you're here with me, feeling this heat rising in my words, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it. Because what I'm about to reveal isn't just a story, it's my truth, raw and unfiltered. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. It was a Tuesday evening, nothing special, at least that's how it started. My husband was away on another business trip, his usual excuse for being absent in more ways than one. The house was quiet, too quiet, and loneliness crept in like an unwelcome guest. I had promised myself so many times I would never let temptation win. But temptation doesn't knock at the door, it walks in wearing confidence, smelling like sin, and speaking in a voice that melts your defenses. That was him. We had met at a dinner hosted by a mutual friend months back. He wasn't the kind of man you forget. He had this way of looking at me, like he could strip me bare with just his eyes. That night, I brushed it off, pretended I didn't notice, but deep down I carried his gaze with me. It lingered, gnawed, and brewed. So when he texted me out of nowhere, "You seemed bored. Want to grab a drink?" I knew I was walking straight into fire. And I said yes. The bar was dimly lit, candles flickering against wood tables. He was already there, leaning back, sipping whiskey like he owned the night. His smile when he saw me. God, it was dangerous. Didn't think you'd actually come, he teased. Neither did I admitted. My voice trembled, but not from fear, no, it was something darker, heavier, like desire I had been suppressing for too long. We talked, we laughed, we drank. And every time his hand brushed mine, every time his eyes locked onto my lips, I felt the promise of something I shouldn't want but craved like water in a desert. When he leaned in that first time, right before his lips claimed mine, my body betrayed me completely. I didn't pull away. I gave in. I let him taste me. And when his tongue slid against mine, sweet and slow, I swore I tasted honey. That was the beginning of my undoing. Fire, and that's how it started, just a taste. But by the time he was done with me, I wasn't just kissed, I was consumed. And trust me, this is only the first drop of the jar. Backhand index pointing right, don't forget, L. Like, share, and subscribe if you want to know how deep I sank into his sweetness. The first night should have been enough. Enough to quiet the storm that had been growing inside me, enough to make me swear it was just a slip, a stolen night meant to fade like smoke. But instead, it lingered, pressed against my skin, burned into my memory like the sweet sting of honey left too long under the tongue. I woke up the next morning beside my husband, his arm heavy around me, his breathing steady and innocent. For a moment, guilt crawled in, sharp and bitter. Yet, just as quickly, the memory of him, the way his lips searched me, the way his hunger never paused, never questioned, overpowered that guilt. It was dangerous. And it was addictive. Before I continue, I whispered into the silence, as though confessing to the air itself, if you're listening to this, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Like this video, share it, because this story isn't just mine. It could be yours too, your hidden ache, your untold lust. Now, back to where it all deepened. He texted me the next afternoon. Just 2 words. Still sweet? My heart raced, and I hated myself for how quickly my fingers typed back. Always. That's how it started again. Secret lunches. Doors locked in cheap motels with drawn curtains. Him pulling me in like I was made of sugar he couldn't stop tasting. I tried to slow him down sometimes, to remind him I wasn't as young or as free as he deserved. But he never listened. "I don't want free," he told me once, his lips brushing against the hollow of my throat. "I want you. The way you melt. The way you moan. That's my craving." And God help me, I gave it to him. Every single time. But as sweet as it was, the craving turned heavy. He started calling late at night, whispering that he needed me, begging me to sneak away. And when I couldn't, when I stayed loyal to the bed I had chosen years ago, I could feel his frustration burn through the phone. The moans that once freed me now trapped me. The honey he licked from me now weighed me down. Still, I went back. Still, I let him take me until I was trembling and empty, yet full of him. Somewhere in that mess, between my lies and his hunger, I realized, this wasn't just an affair. This was a fire that would either consume us both or leave me ash-covered, unrecognizable. And I wasn't sure which one I feared more. I never thought I could break like that, never thought moans could spill out of me like confessions I wasn't ready to make. His tongue, his lips, the way he treated me like a jar of honey he couldn't stop dipping into, it made me tremble, made me unravel, made me forget I even had a husband waiting at home. It wasn't just lust, it was hunger. A dangerous hunger that burned hotter each time I let him taste me. I still remember that night in his loft, the warm light spilling from a single lamp, shadows dancing across the brick wall. I had barely taken 2 steps inside before he pulled me close, whispering, "I've been starving for you." And then, he devoured me. Not with cruelty, but with a passion so relentless I thought my body would burst open from pleasure. He pressed me against the counter, lifting me like I weighed nothing, spreading me as if I were the sweetest offering. Every lick, every suck, every bite felt like fire chasing through my veins. I clutched his hair, tugged at his shoulders, gasping his name until I forgot it wasn't supposed to leave my lips. But here's where I'll pause for just a moment, because if you're listening to me right now, if you're deep into my secret world, I want you to stop and do something for me. Backhand index pointing right. Don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and share this story with someone who loves hearing tales that make their heart race and body ache. That's how you'll keep getting more of my secrets, whispered straight into your ears. Now, back to that night. He carried me from the counter to the bed like I was weightless, and when my back hit the sheets, I swore my body was already undone. But he didn't stop. No, he licked and sucked until my moans turned ragged, until my voice cracked, until I had nothing left to give. I remember gasping, I can't anymore, but he just looked up with that wild grin, his lips glistening with me, and said, "Yes, you can. You're not empty yet." And God, he was right. He pulled wave after wave out of me until my thighs shook uncontrollably, until tears mixed with sweat on my face, until I was nothing but a trembling, honey-drained mess beneath him. By the end, I wasn't even moaning anymore. I was whispering broken prayers, begging for mercy, begging for more. I had become his jar, and he licked me clean until there was nothing left to scrape, nothing left to pour. But here's the danger I didn't see coming. Once you let someone taste you like that, you're no longer safe. Because no matter how full you try to be again at home, no matter how much you tell yourself you're done, you'll always crave the tongue that turned you empty in the first place. I never knew how far I could be stretched between guilt and pleasure until that night in his loft. The glow of the city bled in through his wide glass windows, New York's heartbeat pulsing like it was in sync with mine. He had me spread across his couch, his lips glistening with the sweetness of what he had claimed from me, and I swore, I was no longer myself. "Stay with me," he whispered, his voice so deep it licked my spine. And I did. Helplessly. Because every time his mouth moved lower, every time his tongue lapped at me like I was some honey jar he couldn't stop dipping into, I forgot I had a husband, I forgot I had promises, I forgot everything except the moans that kept betraying me. But those moans, oh, those moans, he turned them into his playground. I didn't even know my voice could sound that way, breaking into fragments, rising and falling, until I almost feared there would be nothing left of me to give. And before I go on, let me pause here. If you've been carried away with me, if you feel every drop of heat in this moment, don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe to this channel for more of my hidden confessions. He dragged me back into the fire before I could breathe. His tongue, his teeth, his hunger, reckless, greedy, determined to prove that exhaustion wasn't enough to stop him. I remember pressing my palms to the cushions, nails digging deep, my body begging for rest while he kept drawing more from me. He wanted every ounce, every moan, every shiver. And I gave it. God help me, I gave it all. There was a moment, yes, a dangerous, breathless moment, where my cries turned silent, not because the pleasure wasn't real, but because he had drained me of every sound I had left. I became an empty jar, licked clean, trembling, shaking, yet still aching for more. By the time he lifted his head, eyes wild, lips shining, I was no longer a woman torn between loyalty and lust. I was only his, wrecked, unraveled, devoured. And deep inside, I knew this wasn't the end. This was just another beginning I wasn't sure I'd survive. I don't know how to put into words what he finally did to me that night. Maybe because words are too shallow compared to the way his hands, his lips, and his hunger drowned me. I remember lying there, trembling, his breath hot against my ear as if he was whispering to the part of me I had hidden away for years. "Stay with me," he murmured, not asking, not begging, commanding gently, as though he already knew I would surrender. And I did. Every lick of his tongue made me feel like I was melting, dripping, emptying into him. I had no walls left to defend, no excuses left to give myself. I let him turn me, spin me, devour me like I was nothing but honey waiting for him to scoop, taste, and savor. At one point, I bit my lips so hard just to silence the sound of my moans, afraid the world outside would hear my betrayal, but he caught me. His hand cupped my chin, forcing me to release that muffled ache, and when my moans spilled free, he smiled against my skin. "Don't hide from me. Let them know you're mine tonight." And I did. The bed creaked, the sheets twisted around us, and my body gave out again and again until I couldn't even count how many times I'd surrendered. My legs shook, my voice cracked, and my moans turned into whispers. Yet he didn't stop. He turned me into an empty jar, honey scraped clean, still licking until there was nothing left to give but silence and tears of release. And in that silence, I realized the danger I had invited into my life. I was no longer my husband's wife in spirit, I was this man's secret, his addiction, his jar of sweetness. And to all of you listening right now, if you followed me through this sinful adventure, if you felt every pulse and ache I shared, then please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it so others can sink into the same heat. My secret isn't just mine anymore, it belongs to you too.